We begin in Egypt, where a judge has dismissed all charges against former President Hosni Mubarak. Now, he'd been accused of conspiring to kill protesters during the 2011 revolution and also of corruption. Well, this was the reaction inside the court after the verdicts were handed down. Mubarak's sons, a former interior minister, and 6 aides were also cleared of various charges. Well, let's take a closer look now at the verdicts. Now, the court threw out charges against Hosni Mubarak for ordering the killing of protesters during the 2011 revolution. The judge said the president shouldn't have been standing trial for them. The court also cleared former Interior Minister Habib El Adli and 6 of his aides on similar charges. Corruption charges against Mubarak and his 2 sons, Gamal and Alaa, were also thrown out on a technicality. And Mubarak and co-accused Hussein Salem were cleared of corruption charges for selling cheap gas to Israel. But as Omar Al-Saleh reports, reaction to the verdict has been mixed.
It was called the trial of the century in Egypt, and it ended with a controversial verdict, one that supporters of the deposed president celebrated. 3 years after he was forced out of office and one retrial later, Mubarak saw the case against him thrown out by the presiding judge. Mubarak had been charged with conspiring to kill protesters in January 2011.
It is not suitable for a former president to be taken to a criminal court according to the terms and conditions of the criminal law, or to consider the things he did wrong within his political responsibilities, even those crimes mentioned in the accusation list.
The court also cleared Mubarak's much-feared Interior Minister Habib Al Adli and 6 of his top aides. The judge ruled that there wasn't enough evidence to show that they killed or conspired to kill protesters. There were more than 800 people killed in the January revolution, but the court says it had legal papers for only 238 deaths. The verdict shocked the victims' families.
The verdict is wrong. We don't deserve this from the Egyptian judiciary.
Some were in tears, others chanted, "Down with the military regime." But some of Mubarak's supporters were jubilant.
Thanks God, now President Mubarak got his rights back from the conspiracy of January 25th.
This ruling could also raise questions about the independence of Egypt's judiciary and the influence of the government. Shortly after Mubarak resigned, he was found guilty of stealing public money. In 2012, the deposed president, along with his interior minister, was sentenced to life in prison for complicity in the killing of demonstrators. But in 2013, the Court of Cassation upheld an appeal by the 2 men on technical grounds and ordered a retrial in the case of the dead demonstrators. After that court decision, the current president, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, led a military coup in July of last year to get rid of the president at the time, Mohammed Morsi. Sisi went on to win the presidential election, raising fears among many Egyptians that Mubarak and members of his regime would walk free. Some analysts accused the court of making a political decision.
The
judge said that the nation has overcome the revolutionary phase. This means the death certificate of the revolution. This is not a trial for Mubarak and his interior minister, but it is a trial of the January revolution. The court, which is supposed to be just and answer the question who killed the protesters, it didn't answer that.
Egypt has seen months of unrest. On Friday, several protesters were killed while anti-coup protests are continuing. The government has deployed the army and police to clamp down on demonstrators. Mubarak will remain under house arrest in a military hospital, serving a 3-year term for embezzlement. Omar Al-Saleh, Al Jazeera.